This tank weighs 60 tons. It has a turbine engine, it can crush an SUV into a pancake, but it cannot knock over this tree. This is a titanium sapling. It's a staple of the Grand Theft Auto experience, and chances are you've probably run into one at one point. Let's rewind back to 13 years ago when GTA 5 first released. Back then, there were no PS5s and no Xbox Series X's.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Ken Kutaragi.
Rockstar had to optimize their game for the PS3, which featured 256 megabytes of system RAM. When you compare that to the PS5's 16 gigabytes of RAM, you can start to see the issue. So unfortunately, some sacrifices had to be made when designing the physics for this game, and one of them was turning every tree in the game into static. They became concrete pillars disguised as wood. But now, in 2026, hardware has come a long way, and we're only a few months away from GTA 6. So when the game drops and a tank hits a palm tree in Leonida, what should we expect? In game engines, objects live in two categories. You have physics objects, and then you have static meshes. A streetlight, for example, is a physics object. It has a breakpoint, you hit it with enough force, and a script triggers. The post detaches, gravity takes over, it looks right, and it feels right. Whereas on the other hand, a tree is a static mesh. To the game code, a tree is the same as a mountain. It's an unmovable part of the map. Rockstar made this choice to save processing power. Calculating collisions with a static object is easy. The math is simple. The car stops, the engine moves on to the next frame. Calculating a collision with a destructible tree is hard. A tree is not a cylinder, and it has thousands of leaves, it has branches, and it has a root system. So if you make every tree in a city destructible, you create a nightmare for a CPU. And as for Leonida, Leonida is based on Florida, and Florida is defined by its foliage. It has mangroves, it has massive palm forests, it has dense urban landscaping. In Los Santos, you could stay on the road, but in Leonida, the environment is everywhere. If you drive a truck through the Everglades, you expect to push through the bush, but if every bush is a concrete wall, the map quickly becomes a maze. But thankfully, modern consoles use solid-state drives, and this completely changes the game. In the old days, the game couldn't remember what you actually destroyed, so if you looked away, the game deleted the debris to save RAM. When you look back, the tree was standing again, like nothing happened. But now, SSDs allow the game to store the state of the world instantly. If you mow down a row of palm trees on Friday, they should be gone on Saturday. You should see a city crew replanting them with the little orange cones around them, and this is how you make a video game truly feel like a living world. If we look at a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, we see that the tree physics are very, very high quality. If you walk into a branch, the branch moves, the snow will fall off, things like that. And I guess that's really what I'm looking for with GTA 6, and I guess even more. I mean, we already know how far Rockstar is willing to go when it comes to attention to detail. I mean, they supposedly hired 20 or so developers and spent $300 million just on water physics alone, as well as the new rumors that they did the same thing with glass. So I think if that's an indicator of anything, we probably shouldn't be too worried. What I think will probably happen is I think they'll have a mix of both. I think they'll have their static trees in the distance, and I think up close trees will use real physics. So trees outside of a certain radius will be just static images, and as you approach them, I think that they'll sort of wake up, and if you hit them, then you can actually interact with the tree and break it and things like that. I think in a perfect world, all of their trees would be real physics trees and they would have no static trees, but I think in the real world, they need to optimize their game somehow, and I think that that's one of their ways that they could do it, and that's my guess for what they'll do. There's also the argument that depending on the size of the tree, if a car hit a big tree in real life, the tree actually wouldn't break at all. In fact, the car would be completely totaled, but the tree would still be standing. So they could potentially have small trees break, but big trees stay the same. There's really no way of knowing for sure. And also, trees aren't the only example of this. There's also the volleyball nets. If you've tried to run your car into a volleyball net before, it just won't budge. Like obviously in real life, if you ran a car into a volleyball net, that thing would be ripped in half. But in GTA 5, the thing is made out of diamonds. It doesn't even move. Now, speculation is great and all, but I think it's better when you actually have some examples to look at and reference. So in the second trailer for GTA 6, there is this one scene here where we see a truck dragging some kind of safe, and when the safe ends up hitting the tree, we see that the tree doesn't move or anything. And this is the only example I could find of anything coming in contact with a tree specifically. And as you can see, the tree doesn't move or break or anything, but obviously that doesn't really prove much as it's just a safe hitting a tree and not a tank. Okay, but what about this clip here? We can see Lucia coming in and getting on the couch, and if we zoom in, we can actually see that as soon as she puts her knee on the couch, the cushions actually bend and react to the weight of her body being placed on it, which does indeed prove that the couch is in fact a physics object and not just a static mesh. Or what about this clip right here? Let's pause because there are 3 specific things I want you to pay attention to in this clip here. Number 1, when Jason slams his fist down on the cash register, we see the impact of his fist shaking the whole register. Next, when he pulls open the cash register's tray, we again see the impact of it being opened aggressively, ever so slightly bumping the cash register a bit towards the edge of the table. And comparing the movements of the two, we see that the hard slam shakes the register much more violently than the little bump, which is exactly how the physics of it should work in real life. And finally, when he finishes pulling open the register, we see the loose change inside bouncing around and reacting to the velocity of the tray being pulled open. And as for the liquid physics, I could go on and on about that, but it's already been talked about so many times and we already know how crazy the liquid physics are for this game, so I kind of just wanted to focus specifically on the non-liquid physics to kind of see what we can expect. Now, obviously, none of these are real cold, hard, definitive proof of anything, and I'm not claiming to be some sort of messiah when it comes to GTA 6 development, and a lot of people have different opinions regarding how this will all play out. So if you have your own theory, put it down in the comments, and I'm not just saying that for the engagement boost, but I actually want to know. But with that being said, thank you for watching, and until next time.